Live from Capitol Hill, Republican Senator Ted Budd of North Carolina, who was a no vote on that cloture motion just a few hours ago. He serves on both the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senate Commerce Committee. And Senator, I want to thank you for being so patient and waiting for our conversation. It's good to see you. You were a no today. Does that mean that you have hope for a deal? The president is acknowledging progress in talks with Democrats about some new restrictions that would be codified in legislative form to keep this moving forward.
I do. What we're going to hear now is we're going to see a six-bill package, which ultimately failed a few hours ago, is going to move to a five-bill package. That should pass in the next several days. And then a continuing resolution for the Department of Homeland Security portion. That should give us several weeks to work on that. I think Tom Homan's doing a great job in Minneapolis. Even though he's only hours into the role, there's great hope for that. And I think that gives all of us hope that there's going to be some very productive negotiations to get that through. But I will say this, shutting down DHS, as a lot of Democrats have talked about, it hurts the Coast Guard, it hurts TSA, it doesn't get at the DHS funding, which is ultimately what their concern is. I mean, that was in the Working Families Tax Cut Act of July 4th last year, and that's going to fund that for years to come.
Well, what brought you to a no then today? Was it because you are optimistic about a deal taking place? Why not put these in motion and then follow up with legislation to add those restrictions later?
No, and I want to compliment the negotiators, Susan Collins on our side, putting together a package that's much better, much more regular order, where we've had 12 different bills that we've been able to weigh in on. However, they were rolled together in a couple of six-bill packages. I'd like them to be able to be voted on separately. I think that would be a more open process where you can get at amendments. Some of the things I would have worked on stripping out of that is earmarks that fund abortion facilities or fund transgender care for children. I think that's a non-starter for me and most folks back in the overwhelming amount of folks back in North Carolina. That's not something we should be spending taxpayer dollars or any dollars on. So that was in the package, and that was what earned a no vote from me.
Really interesting. You had a lengthy statement on Twitter that we've been talking about here on Bloomberg, in which you called for an investigation into Alex Preddy's killing by agents last weekend. To what extent do you want to see a reassessment at ICE when it comes to rules on the ground? You mentioned that you think Tom Homan is doing a good job. Is he starting on the right foot in Minneapolis? What needs to be in that bill? Body cameras, more training. What else?
Well, body cameras for sure, and there's already funding, and that's already out there, millions of dollars for body camera, and of course training. These law enforcement officers, and I want to give them credit where it's due, they have to make split-second decisions. I'm very sympathetic to them, but you always want to look at a tragedy like this, and I do want to call it a tragedy anytime there's a death like this and something got escalated to that point. I just think it's fair to all involved, including law enforcement, that you take a look at this and how could this be prevented in the future. And I think Homan, he's an experienced law enforcement officer. He was appointed under Trump as a border czar. He did a similar role for Obama, so he's not necessarily he's a tough figure, but he's not a partisan figure, and I think he'll be the right one to lead the charge.
Senator, should Tom Homan replace Kristi Noem as the Secretary of Homeland Security then?
I've got a good working relationship with the secretary. My focus is through the lenses of North Carolina. She was able to clear the deck for hundreds of millions of dollars for Western North Carolina, even though that's about 15 months ago when Hurricane Helene ripped through our mountains and did untold damage. She's been focused on help us get that back up to speed. There's debris still to be removed. There's counties to be reimbursed. And I have a productive relationship there. So I really think that's a decision for the president to make regarding his cabinet.
Well, as we watch ICE arrive in many cities around the country, realizing that this is a fluid story and deployments could be changing, whether it's in Maine or whether it's in Charlotte, in your state of North Carolina, is it time for a drawback in the presence that we're seeing around the country, as Tom Homan suggested for Minneapolis?
Well, I think people are okay with enforcement, but they don't like the tactics. And let's make them less visceral. Let's make them effective. And I think his prioritization, which is what Trump wanted to start with during his campaign, and that is the worst, those that are bringing crime to our areas. That's what we really need to focus on. Everyone probably knows somebody that is here from another country. Maybe they didn't come in the right way. Look, we'll deal with that. And I think being here illegally is a problem. But you want to make sure you differentiate between those that came here the right way. They have the best of intentions. They're coming and being a part of this great America that we know and that we love, and they make this a better country. We want to differentiate between those folks that are here legally, those that are here illegally, and those that are here illegally and that are here to commit crimes. So I think you need to start with those folks, the worst folks that have brought fentanyl, they've trafficked drugs, they've trafficked humans, and have led to a lot of loss of lives. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people over the past several years from fentanyl alone. And a lot of that comes from illegals that have trapped across our border.
Yeah. Senator, I want to just put a finer point procedurally on what should happen here. If there's a CR for DHS, you pass the other 5, CR for DHS should be how long? How much time do you need to find the details of a deal?
Well, my understanding is that we need more than 2 weeks because of the Senate procedures. I wish you could, I come from a business background, you just get it done, but there's procedures to be done here in the Senate. It's a very interesting body politic. So it's going to take more than 2 weeks, but we'll hurry with whatever time they get us. But let's remember, if you shut down DHS, you don't get at what the Democrats are actually after, and that is DHS alone, where it actually affects Coast Guard, it affects TSA, it affects FEMA, and that's something that not only affects Western North Carolina, it would affect Peter Welch in Vermont, who has FEMA needs as well. So I think we should be very measured in how we approach this. I think we're going to come to a good conclusion.
Really great to spend some time with you, Senator. Thank you. Republican
You as
Ted
well.
Budd.